I may not be very good at it, but I like Monopoly. No, I'm not one of those that get angry if I lose, but I do think it's a very fun and challenging game. Imagine my excitement that Emsey Railway was chosen to be one of the 4 stations on the recently released Yorkshire Dales edition. When I saw the box for the first time, not only was I super excited that we'd made the front cover of the box, that's a different story, I was curious about the other 3 railways that had made the cut. Skipton Station was a given. It was one of the larger stations and an important crossroads back in the day. And Settle wasn't a surprise either. Its scenery made it a surefire contender. But what of the 3rd? I looked and I asked myself, what on earth is Dent? It turns out that Dent Station is a very important and historically diverse station indeed. The Valley of Dentdale is at the western end of the Yorkshire Dales National Park, and the town of Dent, even before the railways, was a flourishing community. There was a steady trade in farming, dry stone walling and quarrying. It was a basic life with no frills or mock cons, and many people, like in many rural communities, rarely left the area. Having the railway come through the area must have been a bit of a shock. There was no big businesses or trades in the town, and Dent had little to offer. But the large main line cut through the valley like a knife. The Midland Railway wanted a no-nonsense route, and no hill or gorge would deter it. In 1869, after the compulsory land purchases were made and the stakes laid, the builders got to work. The town of Dent was almost swamped overnight with the influx of workers. In the space of a few weeks, a huge encampment had sprung up in the valley, all geared ready to lay the lines and start construction of the new viaducts nearby. The roads, which were no more than tracks, were churned up by heavy machinery, making them unusable, and 2 vast quarries were opened up to exploit the local marble that lay there. Although there was a lot of negatives, Dent did manage to profit in part. They were able to profit from the quarried marble, and for a time they were able to use the railway to export it. But by 1900, the marble work had dried up completely compared to the cheaper and more surplus supply from Italy. The line opened up to great fanfare, but for Dent, once the workers had upped and left, they were left all alone, with just a main line and a viaduct. There wasn't even a station that they could use. After the success of the line, there would talk about Dent having a station, but its location was always going to be problematic. The first proposal was at Dent Head, but this was a good 7 miles from the town. Then Arran Hill was considered. Finally, the current position at Monkey Beck was agreed. It was along Cole Road and had the best transport links given the location, and it was high up. In fact, it was going to be the highest mainline station above sea level. The Midland Railway was realistic in Dent's prospects and knew that giving them a grand or large station was not going to work, so they made the station straightforward and simple. But because of its location, the Midland wanted to make the residents feel comfortable, so unlike many small listed stations, they made the station feel quite grand and spacious. The main group of buildings would be on the down line, with good-sized waiting rooms and mantelpieces made of Dent marble. Hoods covered the windows to help with keeping out the changing weather, and the station had its own signal box equipped with a 20-lever frame, and a brick bridge was built over the railway to take the Cole Road over the line. There was a single siding with a cattle dock and a small steam crane ready to take goods from the trains for the town, and finally a small cabin was built named the Dent Hotel. Dent was decorated in a more Gothic style, and it gave Dent a sense of unity with its neighbouring stations. However, this is where the unity ended. Upon the discovery of several files in the lofts, Dent had one of the highest turnovers of station masters on the network, its temperature and location making it a place where many station masters were glad to move from. Passenger transport reached its peak in the Edwardian era, and with it passengers wanted faster services. Engines were running non-stop between Manchester and Glasgow using the Settle and Carlisle line, and it became reliant on water troughs. Though Dent was high up, it was relatively flat and perfect for a trough to go in. The troughs were fed from a local dam, and according to one worker, they leaked like a sieve. Dent Station also saw its fair share of colder weather. Being so high up, the station was most prone to the first snows of winter and some of the thickest. Luckily, the station was designed for the weary crew that abandoned their engine in a siding in the ever-increasing snowdrifts and had provisions for them for a few days. In 1947, the snow was so bad that it was decided to use a jet engine to blast the snow off the tracks. The snow won, and the Midland resorted to never doing that again. During the Second World War, the station master there got another surprise when he received a knock on his door. On his doorstep was a bloodied and shocked turret gunner. Unable to say anything other than, "Have you been in an accident?" the gunner nodded and confirmed that he had been one of the lucky ones. The station master got his wife to contact the police, while he went to the bottom of the hill to order a taxi to get the poor man to hospital. As he went, he met with the navigator from the same crew, bemused and confused. It transpired that the aircraft was on the way back to Leeming when it got lost. Not knowing the terrain and while in a cloud, the pilot dropped altitude and ploughed straight into the top of Whittle Fell. The plane careened along the ground, hitting a wall, inverted, and came to rest in a peat bog. The rumbling train line was like a beacon to the two survivors, and they followed it to Dent Station. Today, Dent Station is an active station and has become a bit of a tourist hotspot for its stunning scenery and its location. Sadly, many features of the line like the cattle dog, the sidings and the signal box are gone, but the buildings do exist. However, they are now privately owned, and I do believe that they are now holiday cottages to let. So, if you want a more unusual holiday, it's worth checking out the Friends of Settle and Carlisle website. It's a great place, and a place you can definitely claim you're on top of the network. Just wrap up warm first.